Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Okay. I guess the only new guy here is our speaker, but talk about the group. Anyway, Rocky Mountain Inventors, we're a 501c3 nonprofit. This is our 41st year since '78. So anyway, most everyone knows, just a reminder, if you don't have patent pending protection, haven't already disclosed your product, keep it confidential here. You can talk about the general end use, but don't say enough for someone to make and use it with your instructions. We have coming up, I've got the rest of the year pretty much booked out and into next year. So our next meeting, I've got Earl McCoy coming. He's got a patent pending on a fishing rod case. He's been into production. I think he's sold a couple hundred units. He's got kind of a business going, and he's going to be looking at outsourcing his manufacturing to get his volumes up to meet his demand. And then in early September, Serena Rolfe is coming. She invented a new hood. She got a patent and trademark on that, and it's a detachable hood. And she's working at getting manufacturing going and going to talk about what she's been doing through in that. And then in late September, I got Jake Jabs coming back from American Furniture. That'll be September 24th. And then early October, I got Nick Giardino. He's a corporate management expert. He's a recommendation from John Kelly. He's coming. And then in late October, I got Mike Mersaros coming. He's engineering and prototyping and helps people get their businesses going. And then off in November, but early December, Melanie Romero's coming, and she's got the Yard Pup product. She's got patents and trademarks. She's been on Amazon. She's gotten infringed, and she got the infringer taken down. So she's going to talk about those experiences a little bit. So anyway, we'll do our round robin now, and everyone take about a minute and talk about what you got going on. So I'll start with James.
Hi, James. I've been working with Roger for a couple months maybe.
Yeah.
I have a patent pending on a product that I'm working on. I'm just kind of looking for what the next step is, because I'm totally new to the space. So I'm just kind of still absorbing as much information as I can.
Yeah, well, Hank could probably be of help because he was at that point, what, about 15 years ago, right, or something like that, yeah. Okay, Bob?
My name is Bob Estes. I've been working with Roger for about 2.5 years now. I have 2 patents pending. One is for new design football helmet. Hopefully that catches fire. The other thing, which I think is actually more important, is a cushion for cutaneous ulcers. And that's kind of in the works and kind of moving forward at a pace. Just recently met with a guy who's done some of the initial work on it. And both of the products consist of a bladder, which is, the magical portion of what this is all about. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's a slow process, and you just have to be patient and take what you can and move, hopefully make a little bit of progress each day. So, like I said, I've been working at this for about 2.5 years, maybe closer to 3 now. But anyway, that's where I am.
Okay, Dan, you want to add anything?
Sure, I'm Dan, I'm Bob's brother. I'm here to figure out what he's doing.
And my name is Mabel. So I have an invention that has just been, I just received my patent approval for it. So I'm trying to find how to get a manufacturer to, move ahead with projects. So I can say that.
Well, I understand nothing of what you said.
Okay.
Your accent is a little heavy.
Yeah, I'm from Nigeria and I've been here 23 years, but I'm not going to change my accent.
But you just speak up a little bit.
Okay, I said that I have this project going on and I have just been approached. So as an inventor, I've been given the privilege that, my project has been approved by the USPTO, and I'm falling forward to get a manufacturer to manufacture the product here in the USA.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, Steve?
I'm at the point where everybody hates themselves. Okay? I'm at the point where I'm having to define my company. I'm having to define who I am, what I do, how I do it, all through the process of a business plan and a spreadsheet that I actually had to learn how to use a spreadsheet, which was a pain in the humongous. And make the plan, the business plan, refer to the spreadsheet, which defines the method by which I expect to execute the business plan.
Okay, and that was for your financials?
Yeah, my financials.
Okay. But you can use spreadsheets for data, like test data and stuff too.
Oh, yeah, oh, sure.
So it'll
But
be
not me.
Oh.
Oh, no, not me. I'm doing this because I'm the only one that could do the spreadsheet, because I'm the only one that knows the business plan.
Yeah.
And so my notes in the business plan reflect what's on the spreadsheet.
Okay.
And that was very hard to do because I started out with a very free-form narrative, and I've now wound up with a very structured narrative. And that was hard to do.
Good.
It required a little different thinking on my part. And I think my invention, which is basically a device that loads and unloads and transports pallets, is a good one, but it needs a lot more definition and development.
Mm-hmm. You have a fully working prototype then?
Now, are you kidding?
All right.
But from this, I've been working with my engineer,
Oh, is that James Horn?
Jack Lowe.
Okay.
Not Jim Horn, no. But Jack is basically the co-inventor.
Okay.
And so he and I have been working fairly closely together. And since I can't afford to pay him what he's worth, he's taken on another few jobs that he's doing. And so I get about 1/10 of his time. But in the meantime, I'm going to get my narrative in order and my spreadsheets in order so that they all work together and look like it makes a coherent whole.
Yeah, well, there's always plenty to do in the Slack. You can get a lot of things done while you're getting your development done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Roberto?
I'm Roberto Ruschena. I'm a patent agent. I'm registered for the United States Patent Mark Office. I've been practicing patent law for 15 years now. I'm the US correspondent of a few Italian law firms, so patent law firms, so the sending patents application here in the US. The patent application they usually already filed with the European Patent Office or the PCT and then do the US prosecution.
No, I have to tell you about him. He's a nice fellow. But
That's what we thought too.
But his Italian is even worse than his English.
Definitely. I would say so. When we try to use my tongue, I have difficulties. Although I'm communicating in Italian with the law firms.
Right.
Every day, so. But we are saying the same thing. You know.
Okay, Paul?
I'm Paul Moran, and this is my sidekick and comrade, Brian Caroline Ball. We have the invention, we have a patent on a product that renders most goods and many fabrics literally impossible to burn or oil. We have a facility set up to manufacture where our big problem is finding somebody to sell the stuff for us. I was in the building business in my career, and I would rather build a shopping center than set up a crew of salespeople. Be a lot easier. She talks about business plans and so forth. That is duck soup as far as I'm concerned for our product. But anyway, you get somebody to get off their butt and get out and sell, and actually want to work is hard to find. I know they're out there, and we will find somebody, but we are definitely looking.
Yeah, you're exactly in that transition from the working product, patent and everything, and to a business. Revenue, sales. Yeah, profitable, hopefully. Carol, do you want to add anything?
No.
Okay. And Leela, right?
Yes, hi, I'm Lily. Is this just introductions?
Yeah, just introduction.
My name is Leela, and I've had kind of an idea in my head for a couple of years now, and I'm interested in pursuing, getting a patent on it and moving forward with it. So I'm just here to learn and gather more information and take everyone's money.
Okay, great. I might also mention the first year, January 13th, I've got Molly Golkowski coming from the Denver Patent Office for their annual presentation. So if you want to talk directly to the Denver Patent Office people, make sure you come in. Of course, I'll give you notices.
I've noticed that if you go down and talk to the people at the patent office, they're not really very helpful.
No.
I've noticed.
Well, it's a big agency. I know. I mean, I have friendly and unfriendly examiners. I mean, they got 12,000 of them, and
But most of them seem to think that they're entitled to tell you what they think of your idea and your application, and I'm going to tell you all very specifically, these two men are the only ones you should be talking to. You should never, ever try to file a patent yourself.
Well, yeah, it's good.
You're stupid if you do. Because first of all, you probably won't get it granted. And secondly, it could possibly be easily infringed. That's my opinion.
That's like
And I'm
being your own
sticking to
lawyer.
it.
That's like being your own lawyer.
That's
yeah,
right.
you have a fool for a client.
That's right.
I dispute that.
Yeah, that's what the lawyers like to say.
I dispute that I had an application made by somebody that did it by himself now, and he came to me and said that here what the examiner says. Actually, the examiner was saying, I'm encouraging you to get the service of a patent agent, patent attorney.
That's right.
Okay, I'd like to introduce our speaker. It's Hank Koopman.
Yeah, sorry.
Red drum roll. I have known Hank since the early 2000s, and he was a professional engineer for the state of Colorado, now retired.
Yes.
Happily retired.
Yes, very much.
And so he had this idea for Alpha Cube scheme, and he's got it up here. So it's a word game. It's got some unique features. He's got a lot of ways to play it. So just a little blurb about how this gets patented. So these letters are a lot like dice, and it's so on a game you can try to patent the physical pieces sometimes, but usually you focus on the method of play. and the rules. And so that's what we have patented on Hank. Because you could take like dice, which are old in the art, but you can play lots of different games with them. And if your game is novel, not obvious, you can get a patent on that. And you know, a lot of those things have gone to software these days, but that's how that worked. And then the name Alpha Cubes is trademarked too. So I'll turn it over to Hank. Please ask questions anytime, and he'll give you his story. The good, the bad, and the...
Well, listening, but.
You gotta get here so you're on camera.
Oh. You got what? Okay, I'm here because a week ago Roger called me and asked if I would come and give a presentation on what I did, with my game. And I was going, oh. And I thought, well, Roger's asked me, I'll do it. So I had to prepare, I got a little bit of an outline because I don't do presentations. And just so I was trying to figure out what I might have done that somebody might be interested in. And basically what I sort of wrote down is all the little steps I took as I went through this process. And it went real slow. And but I was an engineer, and as one of the engineers, that we do things in order, one step at a time. So I'd sit down and I'd get one thing. I said, okay, as soon as I would finish that, I would go to the next thing that was on my list to accomplish. And so I worked all the way through it. Like Roger going, when you get a patent, you have to amortize the cost. And you amortize for 15 years. Well, this year is my last year of amortization. So I've had my patent for a while. And that's when I first met Roger, as he said back like in 2000 or something. So, this is a sort of informal. If you have any questions, at any time, if I say something or you just general overall want to know, or if I'm making no sense, you just let me know, and I'll just go through and tell you what I did from step one, from the invention of the game,
Did you get one of those?
through patent, webpage, where I'm at now, and what I might be doing in the future. So I'll just start with the game for back when I first started, where my kids were young, and you're always getting misspelled words from your kids. And it was sort of funny how they would misspell a word or so. And I had, so one day I had the thought of, well, I could do a word game that is sort of different than others. And I call them cubes. So they're not dice, they're cubes. And and I wanted to have a game where you had no restriction on the length of the word that you could spell. I mean, you play Boggle or something like that, you shape the things, and everybody's spelling 3-letter words or 4-letter words. Scrabble is sort of limited. You maybe get 7-letter word. But I wanted a game where there was no limit on the length of the word you could spell. So you don't use a Scrabble dictionary, you use Oxford English Dictionary. Every word is in play. And so I sat at the table and I thought, how could this work? And what would I do with cubes? And it only took like 30 minutes before I had the concept of what I would do. And so I wanted cubes that had the letter shows up on these cubes, each letter once. So there's no duplication or anything. And so what I did was I'm going to put all the vowels on one cube. and the Y, okay? Because sometimes vowel, Y. And that filled my, what I call the blue cube or the vowel cube. And then I went, well, let's see, 26 letters in the alphabet minus 6. I've got 20 letters left. And I go, oh, Rika, I can use another cube and I can put 5 letters on it and leave one face blank. And I mean, the number-wise, it just fell right into place for all the cubes. So I have, every letter is on these cubes. There's 4 blank faces on these colors. But then it was a distribution for scoring like Scrabble. You get so many points for the word. And that's okay. But I also wanted to include the length of the word. And so when you spell a word in the game, you get points for the letters you have used and the length of the word. So I set scoring system with the blue cube, and my red cube has the most frequently used letters, T, S, N, R, and H. And they were fairly equivalent in frequency to the vowels, except U and Y. And so I said, okay, I'll make those two are 1 point. They're 1 point. Then the green one had the next frequently used C, F, D, N, and L. And just from the frequency chart that I had, they're used half the time. So, I'll make those 2 points. Then the same sort of concept for the yellow ones was frequency 4 points. Then to get to the final ones, which J, K, X, Q, and Z, I made those 8 points. And then, since I wanted to score the length of the words, I was trying to come up with something that was, to me, fairly simple for scoring that, but remembering that you can spell any length of word. So I didn't want a long chart, go from one letter to 26 letters or whatever. So the scoring system I derived for that was really quite simple, was if you spell a 1-letter word, you get 1 point. Then if you make a 2-letter word, you now get 1 plus 2. If you make a 3-letter word, it's 1 plus 2 plus 3 for the length. So if you got a 10-letter word, you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's how I scored, make the scoring system. And the basic game that I developed was, and which we got the patent for. I wanted a basic game for the patent. And uses the five cubes. Okay. You sit around a table, everybody has the 5 cubes, you take turns rolling them, so you have the choice of whatever cube you want to roll based on what letter you might want for the particular word you're trying to spell. And if you roll a blank face, then that's a wild face for that particular cube, and you can use any letter that's on that cube. So that makes it, if you're looking for an S, you got a 1 in 3 chance you're going to get it, either with the S or the blank face. But then that made it so I didn't have a fixed number of letter tiles to use. Like Scrabble, whatever, there's 104 tiles or something in the game. When those are gone, you're gone. So I had to come up with how I would do that. And basically, the only solution is a lot of letter tiles, because you have to be able to cover how many people are playing, then what they're playing and everything. So this is a set of the letter tiles I use when I use plastic, which is nicer than the paper ones I put in the game. But this was, way too expensive for anybody to buy, 300 the letter tiles. All right, let's see. Now, then what I did, since I had one game, I thought, I wonder how many games I could come up with to play with these cubes. As a thought that, like Scrabble, you buy Scrabble, you just play Scrabble. Boggle, you just play Boggle. But I thought that it'd be a selling point if I could have more than one game. And so I just sat down and started researching games, and I came up. So this is so I actually have a book manuscript, And I came up with 127 games to play with these cubes. And I put them in different age brackets. You know, they're beginners for kids, and some are very complicated. But you know, and it depends what you like. There's there's probably some in there that are better than the basic game. But at the time I was doing this was back before the internet had publish on demand and stuff. So I had to learn, or I was going to the Colorado Independent Publishers Association for information to see how you might self-publish a book, you know, way back then. Now, so that was the main thing. Let me just look through my notes real quick here, see if I. Oh, okay. When I was doing this, I had a disc from a random house dictionary that was just perfect because as I was developing the games, it would let you put in, you know, they have a row of blanks, and if you put in certain letters and certain blanks, you could press the button and it would tell you what words might fit that. And that was, you know, that was a godsend to try to figure this out. But I had my daughter, forced her to count the number of letters or words, length of words in the Random House dictionary. And out of 129,000 words, we came up with there's just 1,100 three-letter words. This was, I was going on not using all the short words. But the word that had the most was a 9-letter word for 17,000. So the ratios, there are so many words that are so shortened that you don't get to use them if you're a real wordsmith type person. And so,
you know, there is a similar page for the Oxford English Dictionary.
Oh, is there? Yeah. That's they're changing all the time. And now, I don't know, I look at our Twitter words going to become, part of the dictionary, LMAO and all that stuff. I don't know. Okay, so I did want a game that you can play with your children, for grandparents or something play with their kids. Okay. I did the scoring system. Actually, if you're looking for a letter, you get the chance to try to get it. And then when you play it, you'll see you won't get your letter, so you've got to readjust. Because, the game, as you sit around at a table and you start rolling cubes to get letters, and I call it the letter bank. So when you roll a letter, you get a tile, and that becomes part of your letter bank. And then you just build that up. And then at what stage you want to spell a word, then you spell it and you get points for it. And it's like the first person to get 200 points, it wins the game. You can make it 250, 150, whatever. And then, so it's playing off the length of the word versus the letters. And it's, so people sit there and you keep trying to get an 8 or 9 letter word, but you have to be adjustable if you don't get the letters you want. Now, one thing is when I was doing this, patent attorneys could make sure I say this right, was, I started reading. I got to know about patent. And first thing I found was, you can't really disclose your idea, because that sets, you have to apply for a patent within a certain amount of time after you disclose your idea. So all the time I'm working on these, I'm being pretty, I'm not out there telling everybody about my game. Am I right? I am, okay. Okay. So I waited. Now, then of course, domain name. Alphacubes.com, and I can still remember sitting down at the computer. I think it was all domains back then, or the one I was on. And I type in www.alphacubes.com, and I said, okay, my fingers are crossed, and I press the button, and it says not available. And I go, huh. So I wait a minute, and I said, that doesn't make sense. I can't believe that. So I didn't do anything different. I just went and did it again. And it said, available. So I got, and I don't know why, but it just shows don't ever give up and don't necessarily trust. Check it out. And then another thing, you might think something is wrong, but but check it out.
Just to let you know, different browsers give you different returns on the GUI's database. I don't know if you knew that or not, but you'll get a different result with different browsers. So if you're using Google, or you're using Chrome, or you're using,
Firefox.
what? Firefox, you'll get different results.
Okay. Now, come to the nemesis part. I had to sit down and find somebody to make these for me.
Can I look at them?
Sure. Now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we pass them around?
Yeah, that's the rest. That's a whole set of 5.
Are these hot stamped?
Hot stamped? Painted. Is that what you
Hot stamp, you take a hot stamping film and stamp it on the die.
No, it was a long time ago, and I finally figured out how they did it. Basically, they're painted. They take all the cubes, put them in a tray, and they have a stencil they put over the top of all the cubes and then paint it.
Okay.
So I got on the internet to try to figure out who would make a custom cube for me. And I found one place. There was a Chris Lloyd Inc. in Providence, Rhode Island. They would make the custom cubes and a custom, or they would make my letter tiles for me. I knew I'd have a minimum order, so I had to buy 1,000 of each. And which wasn't, but they were sort of a high quality type deal. And okay. So that was my supplier, and then, but what sort of happened, I have here one of my little notes, and it's called, nice to see you, spousal support. Well, it turned out I was sort of lacking in that regard, but I had made it so that my idea was I wouldn't spend more money than I could afford to lose, or that it wouldn't really affect my life, so to speak, that I could survive anything if nothing happened. But my now ex-wife didn't want me spending any money on it and stuff, so she filed for divorce. Not necessarily just this, but anyway, so that was a sort of a holdup because I couldn't buy the cubes. I had ordered them, but I couldn't pay for them because if I took delivery of them, anyway, they could, because her and her attorney's thing was to, threaten they were going to take my game. And I hadn't done the patent yet, so I wasn't that dumb, but I did have the game. Now, this was another interesting, and since we have a couple patent attorneys here again, this is what I found out, was they said, well, we're going to take your game. And I said, well, you can't because it's my copyright. And copyright was federal law. And it was my understanding when I looked it up, now maybe not in a community property state, it could be different, but I read that a judge cannot give away your copyright. And so I said, you can't take my, so I said, well, they can't take it, but they didn't know that. The attorneys didn't know it. I even called, not Roger, a patent attorney and asked him specifically, can they take my copyright? And he goes, well, I think so. But anyway, so I had to go through that. And then finally, we got through that, but it took 21 months. So during that time, I couldn't really do much. And, but once it was over, I was checking my dates. I said, that's when I contacted Roger. That, okay, I'm ready to move ahead. So that's 2001. That went ahead with the, to do a patent. And then also ended up doing a trademark. We got a trademark. And I have a set of instructions in here. So I copyrighted those. That I did myself. Yeah, that was fairly easy at that time, form to send in. So I did all that. Now I'm going to backtrack to the, as far as, I had to come up with packaging. How was I going to put this together? And again, just set it up at the internet, and I thought I wanted to do a tube. And then so I was calling things tubes and tubs, for tube and tubs. So I just found a place that would make these type of plastic tubes. But in order for them to print on your information, of course, you got to order thousands or something. I said, well, I didn't want to do that, but I said I can use these clear tubes. And then I found label. I said, I need to find some labels that are clear. I didn't want labels blocking up everything in the. So after a while, I showed up. There was some company that they had different formats of clear labels. So I thought, oh, I can do that. Print them out myself and stick them on my thing. That's how I did the labeling, but also had the warning label because of the fact that everybody has that although I wasn't directly marketing to kids, this thing is for kids 3 and under, I did want kids to play, so I couldn't very well say, well, I didn't mean. Plus some of these games are for young kids that I had in my book. So I went ahead and figured out the warning labels that I had to put on this. For my letter tiles, I found a printer, he prints a big sheet, and he cuts these for me. So I could there's like 302, and we had them all. So that the people could get a bunch of letter tiles with the game to play it. And for testing, I actually did test it. I had some of my friends test it. Because again, I got somebody who was sort of a marketer. They started talking about, oh, we need to do a focus group. Well, that's expensive. So I just had some of my friends checking it. And I actually had an engineer, didn't realize you're supposed to cut these into individual letters. And he came back and said, man, I had a hard time trying to figure out how to play that game. I said, well, we couldn't lie. And I went, you gotta be kidding. And so in my instructions, I say, take a scissors and cut the letters. So that each letter is cut out. The instructions, they're folded. And again, if you order enough from somebody, they have folding machines. Like those prescription pamphlets to get into prescriptions. But I wasn't doing enough, so I just folded them myself. So I ended up with that. I had letter tiles. I made a box that had just the alphabet in it. If I didn't want the alphabet letter tiles. I went and had business cards printed. I don't know, hundreds of them for not too bad. So I did that. Let's see. I had some friends tell me, all right, I don't have it, the vol cube. There was a problem with my vol cube. And that was that when we played it, you would roll too many U's and too many Y's. So you would accumulate U's and Y's. And I thought, well, I want to solve it as simply as I can. What would work so people don't get angry at the fact that rolling all these U's and Y's. And so for a rule modification, it's very simple, was, okay, if you roll a U or a Y, you can either take it or you can roll again. And that puts it in the correct frequency. So that was my idea. I'm always trying to keep it simple, because rules, I read the rules, and some of them I can't really understand, so I try to keep it as simple as I could. Let's see. I did, early on as I contacted Roger, I did hire a sort of like a professional website person, but I can't remember why, but I know we did a little bit, but for some reason, that never worked out. I can't remember what it was. I either got frustrated with stuff and just didn't pursue it. But when I was looking through my old stuff, I was going, no, it can't be that long ago. But yeah, it was. So I tried eBay. I went to eBay, put my game and a picture of it on there, paid my $1, whatever the hell it was, to list it, and I never got anything sold. Not once. Then I opened a PayPal account for that. Well, I made out here, okay, regarded as a patent, Roger just sort of, well, didn't sort of, he alluded to the fact that what the patent is for the method of play. Well, when I started out, I wanted the cubes patented, so nobody could ever come up and copy my cubes, and that didn't go through that way because they had some, they found, my stack from Rogers like this with trademark stuff and responses, and so they wouldn't patent the cubes, and I said, well, they're really unique. The only game you can play with them is this one, but anyway. So, but we got the patent is for the method of play, which is I forget, it's something that you roll, you build another letter bank and stuff. My trademark, again, one of the little things, I went to a professional to do my logo. Went to her house, sat down, showed her the game, showed her the cubes, and she's going to do my logo for me. So, okay. So I go home, and a couple of days later, she sends me her first ideas, right? And I look at them, and she didn't keep the letters matched with the color of the cube. And when I asked her about it, I said, well, I didn't think that was important. And I had lived for 6 years, with no one, I said, no, it's important. So, so she went back and she came up with the idea. When she first did it, and I got it, we didn't have the little orange squares on it. But when I first looked at it, and I said, I don't have the orange color because I wasn't using the letter from the orange cube. So I said, well, why don't you just add a tile, at each end? So at least I got my 5 colors in my logo. And I don't know, the little things, I'll go ahead and mention that. Like, I found out, I could do a home business office, or something. I don't know, do you do a home business? No. But I did. But then I found out, if you don't make enough money, you can't take off the home business expenses and stuff. But the part that I liked was because otherwise they want you to have a separate room, they want, all this stuff just for business in your house. But then I read, but if you use it for inventory storage, it doesn't matter. You can use that room. Now, of course, I would check anything I say. So I said, so I just took all my tiles and put them in this room and said, okay, that's my business office. And, so I do that at home. Now, when I finally got started, I think probably 2004, that's when you start filing the Schedule C with my taxes. And so I've been doing it for that. And I know you get into the question, is it a hobby or is it a business? Because, and again, I said, so I wasn't making any money on it. I actually have people say, hey, you only got 3 years. But I read it, it says, as long as you're trying to generate income, you're okay. And I said, okay, I'm trying. What I'm doing, it's quite obvious, I'm trying to generate some income.
It's not a hobby. It's not a business. It's an obsession.
Obsession. I've heard that. Your patent is your child or something. Yeah. Okay. Okay, then I got state business license for the state of Colorado. And I lived in Denver at the time, so I got one for Denver. Figured I was smart, or trying to be honest about it. And then, the state, you file for some of their business. They have classes, and you can go and sit, and they'll tell you what you have to do. And then Denver didn't have a class, but I still have the state license. Every 2 years or something, I renew that. The Denver one, I found out it was a mistake real quick because Denver has a head tax on people and employees. They want you to, if you have an employee, every month they work, you got to give them $4, depending on how many employees you have. Apparently nobody here lives in Denver. Anyway, so even if you're the owner, so I get this sort of bill or something, they expect me to pay $5 a month when I'm not doing anything. So whatever it was, I always wrote back and said, there's been no business You know, and then when it expired, I never renewed that one. I did register a business name in Colorado, which I've had for a long time. I call it Cubicle Publishing House. One, I thought of publishing was a book, but every year you got to renew it. They send you notice, $5 now. It used to be $1, and purchased my business cards. Okay, now I'm going back, and I need a website, which is the one you see here. Well, by then my daughter had graduated, and so. And I remember it was Roger who told me that like PayPal or somebody had templates or something for the payments. Because originally, a lot of years ago, you had to have credit card people or something to cost you money to be able to take credit card payments over the internet. But PayPal had, so all I had to do was go to PayPal and set that up, and then she did the rest. So this was, my daughter finally made the website. And so we put that out there, and then I got, let's see. All right. Now, then, so I'm sitting there and I'm getting close to retirement. I'm, okay, well, you know, have something, see what happens. And so the website's out there, and I get a call from a school, or email from a school back in Connecticut. And they wanted a whole bunch of tiles. Not the game, they wanted letter tiles. They were going to spell the word respect. And that was part of the program they were doing. And I said, well, I don't have enough. I said, well, this give me an excuse to get back to my supplier, see if he's still doing it. You know? And so I said, that's great. Well, okay, I'll just contact him, say I need, it was 7,000 or 8,000 tiles, whatever it was. And that all I have to do is call him, give him the address of the school. He'll make them if he's going to, and that will be simple, and I'll cook, you know, a little bit for me. So I called him, and I asked him what the price would be. Lucky enough, I had jacked the prices up because this was about many years when I bought these. So it hit all right. I said, okay, so that's good. So I get the contact with the school, say, okay, I contacted the supplier. And they wanted them, this was like in late June, July, and they wanted them for the school year. And so that's okay. So they sent me money, I sent him money. And then I said, okay, well, that'll do it. A couple of weeks, I'll hear that the school got it. Well, this jerk never delivered. Never delivered. And it became, instead of being like, I thought, this is supposed to be fun. You're not supposed to enjoy doing this. I'm not making a lot of money. But it became the biggest hassle for me because the school's calling me, I'm calling him, emails, and it went on for months, trying to get him to deliver those tiles. And it wasn't a big order for what he could do or needed to do, but he said he did, you know, he would do them. The problem I had was, remember I bought 1,000 of each? Well, I had enough tiles to make up for it. I didn't want to use mine, but I could, except I didn't have enough E's because there's 2 E's in respect. So I had to get him to deliver those E's because I didn't have enough. And so, you know, I said what I had, and I did it. Finally, around Thanksgiving, he delivered the E's. I mean, it was, so that's where I put in a little thing. I said that was extremely frustrating because it was supposed to be fun. And that was so annoying. And just what, for me, you know, the way to having to get on the, you know, on the phone and call it. The school never blamed me, you know, but it still was a horrible hassle. So I got frustrated and just sort of, well, I'm going to do something different. You know, I'm not going to, if this is what it's going to happen when I try to do this, I got to find some other way. And that's when I think I ended up, I did actually use, I have this, a marketing, you know, you get a patent and you're going to get all sorts of solicitations for marketing. And I actually did end up going ahead, you know, my supplier was gone. I didn't have a supplier. So I went ahead and I got this little brochure, each month, but nothing ever came from that. So that did not turn out, well. And then, so then I was without a supplier, I had to solve that. I never, there's possibilities I can solve it, but I kept the website open and protect the trademark. Well, I had to do something so I could hang on to the trademark, and then I could show, because he would call me every once in a while, says, there's a fee coming due, I need to know if somebody wants something. And I said, okay, I got one. And I send him a copy of a receipt that I pay the fee, and then I think the last time he called me, I says, okay, I got one. And then I got on the phone and called my sister and said, sis, you gotta buy it. Game on, because that gave me a receipt and stuff that I've been acting. But as far as I know, I've paid all my trademark fees. So, so without a supplier, the main problem I've had is one, not having, well, a supplier, but I haven't really tried to market it because I was afraid, God, if I'm real successful, I might get, a bunch of orders and then no way to fulfill them. And so I said, well, I'll just sort of glide along the way I have it and see if, with the low volume until I solve my supplier problem. Well, this website has been up for 13 years. I have yet to get an order off of it. Not one. And I don't know why. I mean, if you Google Alpha Cubes, it comes up and, with pictures and all that. But, I never, so part of it's, I haven't marketed it very well.
No, you haven't. That's a terrible website.
Well, yeah, that was my daughter did it 13 years ago. So I need
It
to
is
do it.
a terrible website. I'm sorry, I like you a lot, but
Well,
it is
I
so
disagree.
bad. It is so bad, I would take it down. It's that bad.
Well, that's what I was just about ready to do, is start over.
Well, the thing about it is you can't take it down. You can always point it to a new website that you're building.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what you need is children, okay, because parents buy games for children. You need to show the children playing with it.
Right.
And that's
Well,
pictures.
since he's done it, social media has come a long way. It's all about getting your site found, too.
And you need to get onto Facebook and every single Twitter and all the others.
Right. And I'm not on Facebook, I'm not on Twitter. I haven't,
Why?
That wasn't what?
Why?
Because I didn't want to.
Why?
Because I just never had I'm sort of a private person, I don't want all my stuff out
Well,
there.
Wait a minute.
But I think he's got to
That's
get it.
the worst horse shit I ever heard.
He's
You're a
gotta
nice
get-
guy, I'm sure, but you're telling us bullshit. And I don't want to hear it. Because the way you sell that is through social media.
Right, I realize that.
But he's
So I
got
have
to
to
get his
change my
production secured first. He's got to,
Well,
Have
and
inventory and
look
steady
at those
source.
tiles.
What?
I want to look at these tiles.
Well, those are the letters.
Those are the letters, okay. And what's the problem with these letters?
Nothing, really.
Did you have plenty of them?
Yes.
Okay, and what about the cubes?
If I needed to, I could make 400 or 500 games, probably. I would have to get some more tubes and stuff.
Okay,
From
so
what's left
the
over.
supply isn't a problem right now.
Not right now.
What you really need to do is sell out your existing stock. Are you terrified of doing that?
No,
Okay.
I'd love to do it.
Okay, I mean,
So,
you're a nice guy and everything, and we want you to be successful, but we don't understand the resistance you have. You haven't explained what this resistance is that you have.
well, I said, I went on to other things. I'm actually writing a Civil War book. And so I spent a lot of my time lately just doing research and writing on that. I said, but to get that, I said, sort of done. So that was one of the reasons I haven't done anything more on this. Now, I did put in here future plans was to find another way to supply the product and explore possibilities of distributing games through the internet. And that's what I'm looking to do, just what you're saying. Okay, I gotta do Facebook, I gotta do Twitter. That's the way things are done. But I have a book contract that I have to finish first by the end of the year. So I said, after that, then that's when I was going to get on. So, you said,
I mean,
I'm aware of.
I don't know why you know, we're all obsessed, and you are not.
Well,
many times life gets in the way of our obsessions. And so I think that it's not always so easy.
Yeah, it's not easy. I
It's
get
not
it.
easy, and again, we have to work at our own comfort, our pace.
Yeah, I get that too.
So we just can't be jumping everywhere. So.
And that's what he's done. He's jumped on the
No, he
right.
really hasn't jumped anywhere, he's just done it his way.
True.
Which you happen to disagree with, which is fine. But again, that's his way, it's his idea, and that's the way he wants to manage it.
The thing about it is, I would like to see everybody here become very successful. I certainly plan on.
That's why we're here, to learn.
Exactly.
but
Yeah,
I think, kind of the whole mission of this group is to help people with this, because the business end of things is the difficult part. Getting a steady supply, back up, the right quality, the right timing, and then getting the market stimulated for it.
And I make a
getting it at a
suggestion.
price that everything can work and pay for itself.
To me?
Yeah.
Okay,
I've just given you a bunch of hassle.
that's all right, your comments, I'm not.
So now I'm going to make a suggestion that you might find useful. Call up a local, where do you live?
Inglewood.
Call up Inglewood High School. They have a marketing class. Tell them that you want to give them a job, okay? And to make a business case out of what you're trying to do. And those kids know social media forwards, backwards, and sideways. And they're on all the time, so they know Twitter and they know Facebook and they know how to promote. Because that's what they're doing every single day with themselves. And it's just not much of a leap to go from themselves to a game that you produce.
Like for a supplier, all these custom stuff is, of course, going over to China. That's where a lot of the stuff comes in, I think. And that now you can find companies that will say, well, we'll work with you and stuff like that. But again, you have to order so many. And then how do you know you're going to get it after my one experience, with somebody in the States. So, but those are just excuses. But I should say I had my niece's husband is sort of real estate agent and stuff, like you see the games. Well, let me know, I'll help you market it. So I intend to do that. That I'm just not doing it right now. But I have, because I found a site that had cubes on it. I was going, oh, and it was a site where you get cubes and then you get stencils to put on for the letters. You just press them on yourself. And I said, well, that's a possibility, because it just turned out the 5 cubes that they had matched the colors I needed, because I chose primary colors when I did it.
Have you ever thought about using Midwest Gaming?
I don't even know what Midwest Game.
That's a problem. You don't even know who the largest manufacturer of dye is in the United States.
Dyes?
Yes.
No, I don't know.
Las Vegas buys all their dye sets from Midwest Gaming. I mean, they sell 95% of all the dyes that are used across all the casinos in the United States, and most of them worldwide. they're hard to get a hold of because they're so darn busy. Okay? But they'll sell you small amounts. Now, some things you should know, they're made out of cellulose. They conform to the federal standards for gaming dyes.
It's pretty strict, I assume.
I'm sorry?
Strict.
Oh,
Those
I have
guys
a
in
copy,
Vegas,
I have a copy I'm gonna give you, that I brought, of the federal spec. But you don't have to worry about that, that's what they have to worry about, okay? It is very strict. But one of the things I thought of immediately was mill out a small area in the top of each die that conforms exactly to a sticker that you put on each die. Or you can have it hot stamped. Or whatever you want, however you want to affix the letter. But they're made out of cellulose, which is a clear plastic. Okay? And they're larger. They're easier to handle. A child can handle them easier than the small dies you've got. Yours are a little small for children to handle easily, and you can still use your same packaging. I mean, but they're 3/4 of an inch basically.
That's what these are.
The game would work okay if the dice were say 50% bigger.
Oh, there's no, yeah, it works, I've always,
But you could buy mill dye cheaper because it makes so many, billions of them. You could buy them cheaper. You could buy anything that you could have made.
But are the dimples molded in them?
No, they're milled.
The mill?
Milled. Milled, and then what do you call those things? The little dots are painted. Yeah.
If you think making that high volume, maybe just mold that in. With that
They're not allowed to
pressure.
do that. That's the federal spec. And the reason it's the federal spec is because that's what the Midwest did.
Oh, yeah, because they have to be symmetrically.
And so everything is CNC manufactured.
So they're more precise.
Yeah, and they're average to 4 10,000ths of an inch on the side. I mean, very precise. But he can use rejects. You don't have to have perfectly milled dies. You can use the rejects. That's wonderful. Now they've got a place to sell their rejects.
but they're not the colors. You
So yeah, they're probably.
Oh, yeah, they'll portion any color you want.
Any color you want?
Any color you want.
Huh?
I mean, it's just a dye that goes into the plastic. But you get a clear plastic. That's the nice thing about it. Anyway, that's just one idea. I got a million others I've been thinking about.
Yes, I did. See? Well, when Roger called me, I said, you know how to do that and get me back. I had to go find all this stuff, could see it, in the house. I had to get me back to see if I can rebuild my obsession with it to try to, see what I
you're
do.
trying to do is not real. I don't see it as being a real.
I mean, it happens to people, they launch a product and then they hit a few obstacles and they get discouraged. And, it
And
happens.
there's one other thing that you haven't done. You're such a private person, as you admit to yourself, that you haven't been able to share your dream. And the key to success for any of us is to be able to share our dream. If we can't share the dream, we're not going to be successful. And so if you need somebody to market it, that's called dream sharing. And you've got to get somebody to sign on to do that. You've got to get an accountant, and you've already got your attorney, and you've got to get all the things that are necessary to make the whole thing work. You don't do it immediately, but you do become a proselytizer. So that means you go in front of the high school class and you teach them all about the game. And they'll come up with 10,000 different games to play with it. You understand?
Sure.
I mean, I see it as being very simple. And I think you're very brave to get up in front of us and take the criticism. I really do. I admire that.
Well, I've known that. Yeah, I said, oh, my marketing sucks. You know, I haven't done, and then the discouragement part was, I'd rather go to school than something else. You know, because I had something else to do.
It's a great idea, though.
Well, I agree with that. I thought it was, you know, but,
Well, Hank, I think you've taken your idea a lot further than the rest of us have, or many of us have.
That's right.
So again, I think you've done a great job. I love the presentation because you talked about the things that were difficult and personal to you, because we all think it's really going to be easy. You know, somebody's going to come forward, and you've been in there with the hard knocks. So I admire that.
well, I
And
remember
you've been honest about that. And so
when I first was playing the game and developing the games, it just so happened we had bought a block set for my daughter that had the 5 cubes. Again, since I used primary colors, so I took those and wrote the letter, and that's how we played the first. I made my kids play every game in here with me, you know, as a testing. And then I got to the point, and I used a little cut up paper for tiles. But then when I came time for the patent, I said, you know, I want to have the tiles and stuff to show, because I know sometimes people that they have a picture of something, but they don't have the actual, they haven't really produced the prototype or something like that.
Hank, you're farther along than I am.
probably a lot of most.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I thought. You know, I was
Did you
going, okay, well, you know, everything in the past is the past. Doesn't matter too much, but from what's forward is I got to do a better job.
Yeah.
Did you ever think about converting it to an online game with software?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen it. When I first did it, it was computers were just coming in. I wanted to see a board game or something, because I said I didn't want to set up a computer game. But now things have changed. You know, and now I have another kid who is a programmer, and I'd be willing to bet if I could get up to work or at least help for you to maybe get an app. And then that's nice because then you just put it out there, the money rolls in, and you don't have to handle anything.
Yeah.
To some degree, if you have that particular type of a thing, but that could be.
The game is nice because it provides learning capabilities to children who probably can't spell well in the first place. So if I were to market this, and the pricing point that you've got for that game, I think it's elementary schools is your biggest market.
Well, I think it's a great idea because you get kids off the street. You know, they're wrapped up enough with their computers and their iPads and their phones and so forth.
Sort of
so this is a hands-on kind of thing.
I have one of
brings
the
families together too. You know,
one of the games I did for kids was I said, okay, you take 26 of those cubes and you roll them all at once, and you take out all the letters which are duplicated, and you have to do you can be the first one to do the full alphabet. Because you'd have some, you know, so, and then for kids, they'd love to throw 26 cubes out on the table and pick out the A and the B and the C and the D. So, anyway.
Well, thank you.
Well, I got through my list, but I'm getting feedback, which is good. That's part of the reasons I agreed to do it. Like I said, I had, because I was, like I said, right, doing other things, but, and the discouragement part was, probably, it was pretty serious when I really hated having the people calling me and telling me they hadn't got their, their tiles and stuff. And so, But what I had, well, you
It
said.
looks like you got your manufacturing problem solved because the tiles are made out of an ordinary plastic that any sign manufacturer can make.
Right, Roger, you mentioned like a 3D printer or something to make maybe make letter tiles. They can't make the cubes though, because the cubes require more machining. You know, I don't think the 3D printers can do a sharp edge and make it look like a cube. Unless they've improved from what I saw.
Well, they're pretty good.
I'm not-
You're right, they won't give you a sharp edge.
So,
But, yeah, I mean, I think since your original run, I mean, there's probably more manufacturing options now as technology's advanced.
the where?
Well, there might be more manufacturing options available,
Well, it's a problem I could solve
yeah.
if I 100% get to it. Like I said, I did find one site that had, they've got, and they're cubes. They're made from like rolling, and they have the same colors I needed, but it's just a little bit different than the type that I have. Because you do a stick-on letter.
Do you know how many custom plastic mold injection companies are in the Colorado?
I have no idea.
I would imagine that every one of them could make your cubes. Nearly everyone could make your cubes. And I would imagine that, well, there were 54 at last count that I counted. So having someone make them locally is a whole lot better, because one of the things I found out in the internet business, all my experience has been, if you're gonna buy something, buy it local. Okay, and price your product so that no matter what the cost is locally, you can make money on it.
Right.
Your local cost might be considerably less for smaller quantities, and maybe not so good for larger quantities. But wouldn't that be a nice problem to have?
Yes.
You know? Yeah.
Has anybody ever used Fiverr for like the website design? Fiverr, you guys familiar with that website, Fiverr, Fiverr.com? Spell
Is it like a template thing?
No, FIVERR.com, 2 R's in it. But you can, all the things that you guys have been talking about, Facebook marketing, Twitter, a new website, you can get on there and you can find people that have done these things before, and they're rated, they're ranked, and they're inexpensive, because most of them are overseas. There's a few here in the States, but they're just different individuals all over the world, and the site has compiled all of them. Right. You can go in and hire them to do your website design. The original idea of the website was Fiverr, something for $5. It's not constrained to that price point anymore, but they're all still fairly inexpensive. So if you want to do some marketing, I don't know, instead of hiring some local firm that may be pretty expensive, my first step at it would be to hop on there and
Use the pricing.
yeah, you could for sure. And even if it turns out crappy, you're not dumping in a whole boatload of money into this stuff. But they do, it looks like pretty nice websites and some Twitter accounts and things. I was just wondering if you guys had experience with that. I've never personally used anything on Fiverr, but
Do you think a lot of them are in India then?
oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, India, China, Eastern Europe.
That's one of the problems I have, is Christian people want to send to China right away. And finally, I found somebody locally who's, where the hands-on kind of guy.
I don't know about, manufacturing the dyes, but as far as anything website concerned, online.
So there's lots of solutions that we've come up with to some of your problems. of course, that requires the willingness to actually implement them, and that's sometimes hard to come up with.
You get the advice you pay for.
And you get, but you know, one of the things I haven't done is I've never lost my obsession. I've been at this now for 8 years. And so I'm still excited about what I'm doing as much as anything. What has bothered me is the same thing that you're going through. I'm having to learn all kinds of things that I never wanted to ever learn in order to be successful. That's the real problem I have. I have never wanted to learn how to do spreadsheet programming. Guess what, folks? I'm doing spreadsheet programming.
That's kind of the bane of the entrepreneur. You gotta wear a lot of different hats.
Yeah.
You gotta kind of.
And you gotta be able to
different areas.
you know, you're an engineer, you like to do things sequentially and serially. That means you gotta do about 10 different things at once.
Parallel.
In parallel, and the balance of all those things that you've gotta do, and Bob will back me up, the balance of that is the key of figuring out what's important right now, doing that one thing right now, and then going to something else in 15 or 20 or 30 minutes. How much time can I apply myself to solve this particular problem? And if it's going to be an intractable one, then I'm going to assign that problem on a daily basis until I get it solved. And I don't know of any other way to do it, you know? Just.
Well, I think your presentation certainly pointed out things to me that I hadn't thought about, you know, because you've kind of learned by the pitfalls and by the misdirection and the magic and you know, people not keeping their word. And so again, it's quite a process and it's very frustrating.
Well, a bad supplier can just totally mess you up. I mean, then you got a bad reputation in front of your
Sure.
And Bob still owes me coffee, I want you to know that.
Well, the thing that made it even more surprising was he was the one who did these for me originally. I knew him, I visited his plant, and here I come back, you know, all that time later, and he does that. So it wasn't like it's somebody I didn't know, I knew him.
Sure.
And,
So they didn't change ownership for employees or anything?
well, they had a new owner.
I mean, they might have had a big job.
Well, it was
They were
sort of a
getting
family
fired.
deal, the guy's uncle had owned it, but the guy I met the one time was, he ended up buying it from his uncles. His uncle wanted to retire, so he's had it. And he was the owner when I contacted him in 2010.
Were these the original guys that you had to pick up with initially, where you couldn't take delivery? And
Yes, yeah, so
I
I said, hey, I can't take delivery. Matter of fact, when you're under divorce, the attorneys are watching every dollar you spend. So I had to get money from my kids so I could pay for the cube, so it wouldn't show up on my, it was, I asked. Otherwise, he said they'd melt them if I didn't pay for it. So I finally ended up paying for them, but then they had to sit until I had finalized. So that was an hassle. So those are the little things that come up. Oh, I didn't mention, so as far as what I found out was, when you get married, you might want to check as to whether or not the sister, your wife, is a divorce mediator for the court, because she was. And so I got all, so it was quite an ordeal. Yeah, but that's where they came up. Well, we're going to take this, we're going to take that. And the deal with the copyright was funny. I was going to myself, I can't be the only person who's ever had a copyright and went into divorce. How come nobody knows? Even the attorneys don't know, how that's done. A patent is different. They can take your patent, as far as I know.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a number of patents go through divorces, but it's just another piece of marital property.
Yeah, it is.
But the trick is, and I'm putting a valuation on it. And if the business is fairly infantile, you know, there's no revenue generated yet, it's hard to do comparables, so you basically just do cost, because that's the only number you can grab.
Right.
At
And I
that
had no
point in
cost.
time, now, as the patent and the product matures, and it's a different story.
But they got on, the, oh, we have to evaluate your business.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't done anything.
What do they call those kinds of agreements, post,
Prenatal.
no, post nuptial?
Prenuptial, not
Or-
prenatal.
Yeah,
Well, that's the same thing.
but that's, you know, I mean, the trouble with the patent is it doesn't really stand alone as a valuable piece of property. It has to be, you know, affiliated or associated with someone who can develop the business before it has value. And so you can't really like take the patent from person A and throw it to person B. It may just die, you know, because that person B isn't the right person to make the business succeed.
And that means you need to have, something that Bob and I have been talking about. You need to have a lot of people involved. To
Right, so they
share
can come in and work it.
Yeah, you can't just do it by yourself. It's never gonna work. You've got to get lots of people. That's why I suggested a high school, and maybe even several high schools to do the marketing development. But, you know, the whole deal is to get the teacher who's in charge of those classes enthused about, here's this game. And if it were me, I'd take 4 or 5 of those tubes and deliver 1 tube to every teacher and just sit down and talk with them and tell them what you need. And they either will think it's a good idea or they'll think it's a terrible idea. So you go to the next one. And eventually you'll find somebody with enough high school students to get a whole class enthused about the whole thing, to make it a nice project that can make a grade of A. And that's the whole deal.
I think high school students are going to be difficult. I think it would, you know, start with the grade school kids. And, you know, again, this is for any child. And I think it would start there because high school kids are, you know, they're interested in a zillion different things. So I think your sale has to be at a very early level. And I agree, you know, get a teacher, get a principal. You probably know somebody, or your daughters, your family know a teacher, and just.
No, the other daughter is a teacher, but she's in North Carolina. That's okay.
But again,
She's
you know,
in 8th grade.
you know, there are contacts that you can make locally at a very personal level, and okay, this is what I have. You know, you teach in such and such elementary school. You know, could I come and talk to the principal or you know somebody? But I think high school would be a hard sell because they're on their phones and they're social and there's you know all the things that you talked about, Facebook and Twitter and all those things.
Well, the only thing, yeah, but here's the problem, Bob. 8th grade classes don't have marketing and business classes.
But again, you're wanting to reach out to a kid who's going to go home and tell his mom or her mom and dad, hey, I learned this game today from you know Mr. So-and-so. It was really fun. We played it in class. And then you get a parent involved, and you know he'll get contacts. And
So
then
how many of these games do you have now? Have you got 500? I can tell you that there are probably not 500 elementary schools.
I have, I think the 500. Oh, I think that's what I got left, something like that, because, you know, I had 1,000 to begin with.
Okay.
And I don't have, you know, I'd have to get the package you get. Yeah, but that's easy to do. But the cubes are the main thing.
Sure.
So I think I figured out once, oh, I got 400 or 500. I could make
Okay.
something like that, at least 300. So I'm just not, I can't remember exactly.
And you priced them at, what, $16 each?
Well, those are, that's 15, up there is 15, but that's also 13 years ago.
Oh, so how much are they now?
Well, I haven't changed that because I haven't sold it. So, that would be,
I think your price point is $19.95.
Well, how many have you given away to just trial? Have you done that yet?
well, I said, I have, some people have, not many, but, you know, like at work, they would have one of those, crafts things. You know, so I went, you know, had the game, and there was 7, 8, or 9 of my coworkers, got them. And, but not that many. I mean, it's probably less than 50.
Well, one thing that I'm gonna do with my product, especially cushion for cutaneous ulcers, I'm a retired physician, so I have some contacts there. But I'm gonna give 10 away to, you know, the different hospice facilities that, because, you know, I don't know if this damn thing really works or not. I think it does. But, you know, there's my trial. So again, that's why I asked if you've given any away, let people play with it. Again, kids, I think would be at least one target. And then they go home and they show it to the big brother and sister, and then the whole family's playing. And, you know, you've got family coming together here, doing something rather than everybody in their own little iPad. So.
Yeah. All right, I got it.
And the 500 that you've got sitting in your business room
Business, my business office.
are doing you a bit of good by just sitting there.
Nope.
So you may as well give enough of them away. And, you know, set a goal, give away 50. That's 10%. You know, you're not losing anything except for the packaging that you might have to buy for them.
Yeah, the actual investment isn't humongous, you know, and it's been spread out for a number of years. And those tiles, like stay there, you pay for, they're just sitting there. They weigh a ton, you know, they're very, you know, the boxes are heavy. But, yeah, and I don't want to look at them anymore. You know, so I want to get them, you know, moved, you know, or something.
So that's what I do with them.
But that's, just passing on or something, or like I said, the school ideas, good. I remember giving, I had the, wives of mine.
Can I buy one right now?
I have some, yeah.
Okay, sell me one.
Okay, 1995. No.
Did you ever make a video of like?
No, I never did. I know because Roger mentioned Kickstarter or something like that, and I looked at that and I never got past the video thing. Plus,
Yeah.
I already had mine. I didn't need money to develop it. You know, so the only thing I could think of was before.
Well, it's not just for development. You can have a Kickstarter campaign just for
Test marketing, really.
yeah, test marketing. And the thing about it is that the beauty of Kickstarter is that everybody that wants one, you can sell it to them at whatever the $13.95 price is. You're giving them a discount from the $19.95, okay? And you're doing something that won't take very long. I mean, the amount of time is, and I'll tell you, I just had a thought. My wife is a retired school teacher. And they meet with a bunch of other, she meets with a bunch of other retired school teachers, and they are all speech and language specialists.
Certainly.
So what I thought about just now was make sure that every speech and language specialist has one of those because they will demand that the parent buy one.
Yes.
And that, to me, is really zeroing in on your market.
I remember I gave them to my nephew's wives who were school teachers. I said, oh, yeah. Yeah, I never heard boo.
But they don't have an absolute necessity to use it. What you're looking for is a professional who has to use it. Okay? And your marketing should be aiming at that professional that must use it. Because that, to me, is the perfect game for a child who has dyslexia. You've got a game that's just fabulous for a child who has dyslexia. You know what dyslexia is?
You see things backwards or something, right?
Yeah, or you get things mixed up, or whatever. There's a lot of different variations of that, but yeah. It's an inability to interpret the world through the inability to properly handle printed words or printed letters, pretty much. And also the inability to speak. So a teacher could take and spell out a new word and give that to the child. Now speak with this, and now the next one. And that gives you go right through the vocabulary that they want that child to learn. They've already got the vocabulary. They already have that. You don't have to produce that. They know what they need to teach that child. But that's just a suggestion. And it's not worth anything because I'm not prepared to go to every speech and language specialist in the Denver area. That's something you're going to have to do.
I have to do that. Well, that was what I always thought at the beginning. Hey, this would be a great game for kids, you know, for spelling and words.
Yeah.
Even as younger, just recognizing the letters.
I think that's why grade schools, because they're having spelling tests all the time. You know, the little ones. And so again, I think it's hands-on. It's something you can do with your friends or your parents or your family, as opposed to one person building Legos.
And Bob, it is a hands-on situation. They're going to manipulate those cubes. And having a word cube in your hand is half the battle, I think.
Well, I do remember, again, when I first started, I said, oh, you know, maybe the schools will buy a tub of the top of the cubes. You know, I mean, a big paint gallon or something.
These things,
Just so they would have all those things to use. But
what you've learned and what you've told us is these things are complicated enough that they will not sell themselves. They are not obvious to anyone. And you've got to remember that Scrabble has, what, $100 million a year in advertising?
right,
Okay.
yeah.
So you've got to do it, what I would call guerrilla marketing. You've got to get in and zing into the right person. I think it's speech and language pathologists. They call them specialists now. They used to call them pathologists. When my wife graduated from Syracuse University in a master's in speech pathology, now she's considered a specialist. If she were still in the school system. I really enjoyed your talk.
Oh, thank you. Wasn't sure. I said, oh, why, but why, okay. And then I said, oh, okay, all I got is what I did, or didn't do. And,
So you've got a customer, now why
It's
haven't
a product that.
you handed that across to me and asked for a $20 bill?
it's on the cusp of success. It just needs to get there, you know?
Is everything in there that needs to be in there?
So make sure they don't get Michael again.
So what's the package? Those are
The big one with the tiles?
yeah, the tiles. So how do you,
I'm sorry, this,
yeah.
well, this is,
So
this is like equal to the letter tiles. So that when I play with people, I use my nice tiles instead of the letter tiles. Now, you know, I have these for sale, but, you know, there's like 300 in here. Well, they're almost like 25 or 30 cents, 40 cents a piece anymore to get. So it would cost you, you know, that would sell for $100, and I figured how many people are gonna do that? And then, but that's equal to.
Yeah, they're
paper
just
ones.
printed,
That's just-
strips versus the actual separate tiles. But it's the same thing. if you will.
So now you're gonna make me pull out my wallet.
Flash the cash now.
Yeah. $10?
Bring up a sale.
$10 back. Because I've got,
Don't forget to report that to the IRS.
Right, yeah.
all right.
Keep it honest. Do my schedule C.
There you go.
And I don't even want to receive. What do you think of that?
I have a receipt book if you need one.
Don't pay any attention to what he's saying.
What did he say?
I don't know.
I have a receipt book if you need it.
Oh, I know.
No, he didn't hear that.
Oh.
I have a question for you. For me?
Yes, what are you planning to do with the book of variation games?
What do I?
That could be a treasure, right? What are you planning to do?
Well, it's, I've got to learn some more about, you know, they do ebooks now, or you
Okay.
can,
Well, wait a minute. I'll give you a shortcut real quick. Okay? Amazon will publish your book for you.
right.
They'll charge you about how many pages do you have?
Yeah, I don't know. What's it?
Now, you're gonna have to come up with the cover art.
Right,
But
that's
it looks like you've already got it pretty much.
214
Okay, so
of these, but
214
to go into a
pages
book, that's got a double.
Are they double-sided or not?
No, single size.
Okay, so there's 100, you have 200.
Oh, I see what you, yeah.
So there's 107
Looks
pages,
double-sided.
All right.
okay? And there's 107 pages, and what they'll charge you is about $7 a book. Okay?
Yes,
And all you gotta do is send the electronic file version of that. You do have an electronic file version of that, don't you?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I did, when I did this, I was still using WordPerfect. I
Yeah,
had everything, I could do all the tables, I could do all that stuff, and of course, WordPerfect goes out, and along comes Word.
Yeah.
And I'm going, oh crap, I don't want to have to relearn how to do, because I've got some tables and crossword things in here that I had learned. But when I took the WordPerfect file and I did the convert on it, it worked fine. You know, so I actually now have it in the.
they'll do it.
I didn't have to do anything to,
Yeah.
that surprised me because,
Because that's something that is valuable, that you can actually publish, right?
right, and there's a lot of work went into that.
And here's the other thing. How many do you have to buy from Amazon?
Me?
Yeah. What would you guess the minimum number of books is?
One.
You got it.
You don't even have to buy one.
What?
If you self-publish a book, and you just put it on Amazon, you don't have to buy anything from Amazon.
That's right.
Yeah,
They'll just,
They'll make it available to the public. They'll even give you an ISBN number. I mean,
right.
And why not? I mean.
Has that book been published?
No, I got to the point I was gonna,
Be published on Amazon, I don't know that.
when I.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't?
No. They'll do any book
Yeah.
that you own the copyright to. I mean, you
He's already got the copyright.
and you've got the copyright. So include a copy of that electronic file and the copy of the copyright when you send it to Amazon. And you can order as many books as you want for probably around $8 a piece, maybe less.
And write good reviews.
So I read a child's book that Amazon was selling for like
Oh, that's
$13. Yeah.
How many have been sold?
Not many.
Oh,
But the self-publishing company, they want like $4,000 to go put the book here in the Miami stuff. And I don't have time to do that. But it's on Amazon, but and again, it's one of those things, I don't get out there and push. And every once in a while I get a little bit of check, because you get a little nickel and dime, and Amazon took their $14.
Right.
cheap royalty check, 12 cents.
Yeah.
Here's the problem.
Not like
Okay,
that.
if you buy a lot of books, then what you've got is a lot of books to sell, okay?
Right,
So
I could put them next to my cubes.
that's exactly right. And the thing about it is, if you've got 500 cubes and the game ought to be priced so that the book is included with the cubes. Okay, your cost is going to be somewhere between $6 and $8. So price it so that you can include the book.
Yeah, cubes includes book.
Right.
Variations, yeah, people
Yeah.
are interested in
Yeah.
creating, changing games.
Make it simple for people to get all the information that they need to have. And then get, do a video of children playing the game.
And smiling and being happy.
Yes.
Smiling, yes.
Right.
I'd rather play this than Legos.
You can hand letter those Legos any way you want, Bob.
Yeah.
So what do you stand with the electronic version of the game?
Where do I stand?
Yeah.
I just have,
Oh, the software version?
The software version, not the electronic version.
Did that get started or
I'm sorry.
the online software version of it?
No, I haven't done anything.
Oh,
with
okay.
it.
So that's another.
Yeah, that is-
It's just what he wants to do, dump a bunch more money in it.
Well,
But that's one of those things that once it's done, you have virtually zero manufacturing costs.
Right.
Your
So how do
electronic
you make
duplication
money?
is free.
How does he make money on the electronic version?
You have to advertise it.
Yeah. You
And I don't know how to do
it.
it.
I don't either.
But it's easy to get on Amazon.
You cannot play Monopoly online. You cannot play Risk or Clue or any of those board games online.
They have that set up that way.
I have apps on the, if you.
Is there an app for
If you
Monopoly?
need an app for any of those, my suggestion is go all electronic. You go into the grocery store, you see a 2-year-old toddler on their mom's iPhone playing games. So the generation is all electronic. You don't have to worry about vendors, you just need someone to build a website,
Yeah.
make an app, sell it for $1.99 and have, 5 million kids buy it.
Yes.
that's what I was thinking.
Great idea.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's the way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the rehab and learning disabilities, they're probably going electronic too. They'll put an iPad in front of the kid versus, unless it's something where the dexterity kind of thing that, and you can still sell to them. But I would just do all electronic because that's where it's going. You see a lot of these big box stores, Best Buy, Big Sears, all of those that have not moved with the times, have not readjusted to the electronic versions of things. So all of these brick and mortar stores are going out and filing chapter 11, because everything is electronic. Everything's moving in that direction, and we'll proceed to move in that direction. You just gotta stay with the times. Okay. That would be my suggestion, and you would make millions off of that. You just need to launch it and market it. You need to find someone that can program it, relaunch it, and use the money that you're gonna use for, if you were going to, my other suggestion, if you were gonna relaunch your, what you have now, I would do it completely all over. Make it larger for the kids, change the packaging, lower the price to $9.99, not $14.95 that you have on your website now. If you're gonna do the tire, it's lower that, but you can find it much lower cost-wise, because you want it to cater to the masses. So if you lower the price, you still have a really good profit margin, and find some either the States or out of the United States, you'll still make some money off that, but.
Make it up in volume. But the
Yeah,
more
I
product
would
you
do
get
it
out
all.
there, the more people use it, the more it sells itself.
That's right. But I mean,
Make it up in
yeah,
volume.
is that like the directions or whatever for the, what was the binder for?
The different games to play.
That's
Like, that's way too big. You need to like narrow it down to the top 3. And then, you know, if someone wants to buy the advanced version, the app on your iPhone, then you do, like instead of $1.99, it's $2.99. And then they get all the extras. So they'll play out the, you know, do the free version, the $1.99 version, the $2.99 version.
I think she's right.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Sure beats investing a lot more money in dies, because the app is something that kids can take home with them.
And you can get all your resources, high school or college. You can hire a college student that's not even majoring in marketing.
What's the software?
And pay him or her a couple $100 and have them do your marketing and your website. It'd be easy to do. Have a good night.
Hey, thank you. Hey, I'm getting more information back than I gave out.
It's kind of unusual, but, you know, it's good.
But the thing about it is, isn't that what you wanted anyway?
Yes, that's why I came. That's what's in the back of my
Well,
mind.
it's nice, good to get, you
That,
know, diversity of input.
If Roger hadn't called me, I'd be working on my book. But,
I've been playing Scrabble with my daughter in South Carolina
Or something.
for years. So,
Hey, I'll sell this to you for $12.
oh, yeah. So, yeah, the electronic version, yeah, it's a must. Yeah.
right, well, I thought, okay, I have 127 games, I could put them,
Yeah.
127, so you buy
Sure.
one, buy whatever ones you want.
People can choose.
$1.99 a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you could buy the whole book for, $19.95, or you just want, some of the games, I mean, I'm not sure how much, they were hard to make, and there's some very complicated games in there. So you'd have to be a real word nut to want to play. But others are pretty neat. Yeah.
Yeah, by level of expertise.
Where's she going?
Yeah.
So you have 10 games easy to play,
Oh, yeah.
10 games that are harder,
Right.
and 100 games that are real hard.
Right.
Because people like top 50 was,
Right.
my son-in-law would buy the top 50 in a heartbeat. He lives
And
in
the higher price.
Your biggest problem is getting someone to do the programming for a website.
Sure.
I think this woman here, what was her name? Bibi? No.
Leela back there?
Leela. Leela, I think Leela had the right idea.
I agree. Now, I said, no, my son, he's better than my daughter. He's got a programming degree and math degree, and he works, he does websites, from what I understand.
So why don't you hire him?
Yeah.
Keep it in the family.
Right, that's how I'm gonna get with him.
I think you'd want to make it as an app, though.
but an app
Yeah,
or
it's an app
something,
for a tablet.
if he can do it. And then I thought, like you, all this stuff I didn't want to learn, I'm going, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to start trying to find out what he knows too. Just to try, okay, exactly how do you do that? Because I coded way back at Fortran 4 when I was in college.
Sure.
And it made sense to me. But I look at what they have now, it's just, I have no idea what they're, how do they get from here to there?
The other thing is, they know people that can do just about everything. Right. And so again, I think you'll open up another network here of people that you'll probably have to meet, or else your son or your children will do that for you. But there's a lot of information within your family that you just have to, and I have 2 kids, it's tough to get their attention too, so.
Yeah, it's luckily he is in town,
And
but
Hank,
he works.
pay your son the going rate. What's the going rate for a good programmer?
We can pay him in equity, so it doesn't.
I guess $35.
What would you guess?
What, $35?
What?
35 an hour? I'm 55.
You could
75.
probably get someone to give you an estimate for $75 or $85 an hour.
Okay.
So it isn't cheap. But the reason I suggest that you pay your son that $75, however you come up with the actual payment, is between you and him, okay? It could be equity, it could be a lot of different things, but it has to be real dollars, okay? Because you're hiring a professional, and you want professional results. And it matters that he's your son, but it's less important that he's your son than to getting the programming done the way you need it done.
The way I want it done, yeah.
That's exactly right.
On the other side, you don't have confidentiality issue, right? It stays in the family, rather than to strong people can find, right?
And the other thing you might want to think about doing is going online and playing a whole bunch of word games.
See what your competition
Yeah, what's your
is.
competition like? Is somebody doing what you want to do online already?
Yeah, I don't, yeah.
But you ought to find that out.
Word search.
Right. Well, my son might do that, but he's never forgiven me for 127 games. Because I literally forced him and his
How old was
sister.
he?
Like 13, 14.
So the way to approach this is, hey, you want to get back at that?
You want to get back? Oh, jeez.
You want to take dad for every time he's got?
Yeah.
He's already done that.
You have a big potential.
Well, is that about wrap it up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Oh,
presenting.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have to join. Keep you abreast of what's going
It
on.
wasn't a roast, it was just friendly fire.
Be very careful. Spray.